One can only wonder why hair so frequently provides the occasion for manic laughter. It's true that there is nothing quite as funny as having a body. Perhaps that's the reason. Having a body also makes us very lucky, of course. And there's a connection between laughter and luck. Every time I laugh, my luck improves roughly 10%. It's an excellent arrangement, hugely expanding the prospects for mirth. The air, the walls, kitchen appliances, backyards, abandoned cars, the garbage by the side of the road. That's where the vibrations of laughter are the longest and the loudest.
And while our good luck may eventually give out, we still come out ahead in this otherwise palindromic world. The unlucky part of who we are just happens to be extremely funny. Our bosses may not think so, but we can hardly hope that our ideas of what is or is not funny will be enough to separate the tragic from the comic for everyone. I have hair, you have hair. My hair grows, your hair grows. It's exceptionally funny. Language only attains laughable results because it's a human product, just like hair. You see the connection. Every hair, every word is like a long, thin joke. We have to trim them occasionally, or we'd hardly be able to catch our breath.
This is how Charles Darwin described laughing. The sound of laughter, he wrote, is produced by a deep inspiration, followed by short, interrupted, spasmodic contractions of the chest, and especially of the diaphragm. The lower jaw often quivers up and down. Darwin wrote that in 1872. Today, we know that the presence of nails often provokes such behavior. Nails reflect an individual's personal habits. If in good condition, nails can be very attractive. And aside from their cosmetic appeal, nails serve many important functions. They help us pick up and manipulate objects. They help support the tissues of the fingers and toes. Most importantly, nails are signs. They reflect our general state of health.
Nails are peculiarly both dead and alive. They are produced by living skin cells in the fingers and toes, composed primarily of keratin, a hardened protein also found in skin and hair. But we really know, don't we, that nails are dead things. Caring about nails is a way of caring about death, and it's that which makes them particularly humorous. It's funny, certainly, but it's also kind of touching.
Fingernails grow faster than toenails. Nails also grow more rapidly in the summer than in the winter. Those who are left-handed will notice those nails growing more quickly than those on the right hand, while the reverse is true for right-handers. Men's nails grow more quickly than women's nails, except possibly during pregnancy and old age. Nail growth is unluckily affected by disease, hormone imbalance, and the aging process. If nails are dead matter, then laughter is its next of kin.
Yuri's got a big head of hair there.
Like time which flies when you're having fun, or like cheering up when it's not the end of the world, we are soaring aloft on the winds of Providence. I'm lucky, these mechanics are lucky, and that car is lucky too. Damned lucky. That transmission needs a lot of work, and there are people here who have the skills to fix it.
I was here when they drove that car onto the ramp. Someone pulled a lever, and the most delightfully odd thing happened. That lifeless slab of metal began to rise whimsically into the air. Several bemused passers-by stopped to watch. Once the lever was released, the car came gently to rest, stopping at precisely the desired height. A mechanic then approached, pulling a large red toolbox behind him, which, amusingly, was on wheels just like the car once was. He then began the long, laborious job of removing a large metal framing object which stubbornly blocked access to the transmission. Everyone in the shop was rolling on the floor with laughter. After a moment, a curious bystander came over to inquire as to the cause of our laughter. "We're laughing at ourselves," we replied. The shop foreman rushed over to chastise the workers, but a moment later he had succumbed too. What a scene! I'm not sure I've ever felt so happy. When I'm feeling lucky, I tear myself away from my melancholy thoughts and sit immobile, hands on my lap, and stare straight ahead, while a serial parade of plastic animals appears one after another right in front of me.
No one compels me to do this, not you, not even my boss. I do it because I want to. I do it because the whole scene with these plastic animals is screamingly funny. At first I inspect them, a bit like the Queen reviewing the Royal Guard, and I snicker like I'm sure she does, thinking, what a bunch of dopes. I'm sure glad I'm here and not there.
But when I'm feeling unlucky, I know that I'm somewhere in that lineup, squeezed somewhere between the lobster and the bear, staring into the light, just as prepared as they are to secure my own happiness at the expense of others, and from that, too, I get a good hearty laugh. In fact, it's all just so unbelievably funny. I've lost a public, but gained a menagerie. The room fills with growls, giggles, roars, and some very droll chirps and chortles, to which I add my own appreciative chuckles. We're all just hanging out here together, sharing the biggest joke of all, and it's grand. All maps are funny, but hand-drawn ones are easily the funniest. Those you see here are all drawn from memory. They show the route their authors took to school as children. A pencil tip drags scratchily across the surface of a paper. Look, it's a road. That one there is a bridge. You can tell it's a bridge by the way the ink seeps into the paper. And always the viewpoint is from straight above. Unlike a cubist painting, with maps, it's always as if you're floating, Zeppelin-like, overhead.
Maps are primeval. They entered the minds of humans like a mist, contemporaneously with consciousness itself. Today we have developed sophisticated systems of recycling cartographic errors, without which we could not be. There is one map, possibly the funniest one, showing the route to a high school to which the author never went. In fact, the school itself does not exist. This map of the non-existent school is a map of the void. The Greeks denied the existence of the void. They said it could not be. The early Christians, on the other hand, despite their longing to remain in agreement with Aristotle, were forced to declare that the void existed in order to comply with the book of Genesis. Whatever. The point is that this map charting the route to a non-existent high school is not semiotically barren, and nothing could be funnier than that.
We experiment because we know we are ridiculous. And because we're ridiculous, we're funny. although being ridiculous has other consequences too. For example, it almost guarantees that the experimenter reach results she didn't anticipate and does not want. These unwanted results displace those which she most deeply desires, and the deeply desired results will then be lost. She will then mourn that loss terribly. But it's okay. Melancholy is funny too.
But melancholy doesn't naturally come in funny form. To make it funny, it has to be perceived funnily. For that purpose, various ceremonies are devised to celebrate our inability to control chance. My favorites are those which document all the possible outcomes which could come to pass, but over which the experimenter has no real control. It's a race she cannot win. Chance moves at the speed of light. Being much slower, the experimenter arrives out of breath, long after the crowds have already gone home. It's pure slapstick.
Thankfully, chance is funny. And because we are the result of a chain of random occurrences, we're funny too. You have to admire that logic, which is even proven to be scientifically productive. It shows us that, along with everything else in this relentlessly physical world, humor is also made of molecules. Even atoms are funny.
The word shoe is a very funny word, whose odd spelling lends it a certain slapstick quality. Yet it's not the shoe as such which is interesting, but that murky hole which the shell of the shoe carves out of the space of the world. And while this inside space of the shoe is indeed funny, it is the inside space of the well-used shoe which constitutes genuine, authentic humor.
Sadly, for some, there are fewer spaces on earth of less interest. Those for whom this space does not meaningfully exist until filled will not understand the claims made on its behalf. That unfamiliar, eupeptic dankness houses the least alluring part of the body while absorbing the countless stinks of everyday life. This is something that people who merely sell new shoes can never fully grasp. The architectural interior of the well-used shoe, like all proper humor, requires that we regard ourselves with the utmost skepticism.
These prodigious inner recesses vibrate with the sediment of the instant, and it's a tragicomic irony of contemporary life that those living in open societies are least able to see their true meaning. It is therefore the business of laughter to restore the cathedral-like qualities of interior shoe space, just as it is the business of despair to deny them. You choose which side you're on, but make no mistake, the deep yearning for the concrete and for the particular, the fitful search for home and belonging, the perverse love of normality, the sensuous flow of the imponderable liquidity of laughter, all begin nowhere else but here.